it is important that some of us who are on ground zero be able to share the experiences so that at least headed towards the general election next year, people can start having a reality of what this government is capable of doing, and nevertheless, what people can be able to do to be able to correct the vices that the government would want to, direct onto him. Our Karao was not a joke. Our Karao last Sunday we discussed with you, and the bravado that was from the Fred Okango and the likes when they told us that the government will take the seat whether we like it or not. And they gave us all the reasons and argumentations around why they believe the government will be able to win this particular seat. I told them here in this platform last Sunday that I am very happy that you know what the government can do. But unfortunately, you have no idea what it is that our people, the people of Karao, are capable of doing. That was my statement. And I told them, back in history, Nyandarua County is the settlement of the Mau Mau people who went into the forest and who were detained, and they came out and found that their lands and homes had been taken over. The white man had done that for 15 years, 10 years. Like my grandfather went to prison for 10 years after being arrested. When he came back, our ancestral home was no longer there. We ended up being settled in Nyandarua. And I told you that spirit is in the grandchildren, and you can never remove that from us. That is who we are. We don't just take intimidation for the sake of taking it. We can't. It is not in our DNA. I can tell you, Debar, right from when this particular election started, the level of intimidation that was there. Let's talk about the campaign, for example. Look at how the government side conducted the campaigns. It is ridiculous to imagine that you would spend in a by-election over $1 billion shillings in a constituency where it's neighbored by no roads, it's neighbored by no hospitals, it's neighbored by schools, going children do not have, capitation. CDF money that they've been taking have not been sent to schools, and such ridiculous things that people need collectively, and they have not been provided for. So the whole Karao people are asking very hard questions. That you are telling us that you are going to teach your Moshina how to make our education, what we call daily secondary school education, free, whereas the people who have come here to campaign from Oscar Sudi, from Sijui, I don't know who are feeling this particular place, they are members of parliament and their constituencies are not paying and are not free. So how do you expect us to believe that? We can't believe it. We can be able to see through. It's a mirror. We can be able to see through. We have members of parliament from the government side, from Nyandarua, one from Kinango, another one from Morojorok, another one from my constituency in Daragwa. They were busy here trying to lie to the government that they can be able to take that seat. And they are telling our people that they are going to teach Mojin how to work. When you come to my constituency, he has not done anything. Even the contract that was signed in 2018 for roads have not even been completed. And in other words, he has not even done 5 kilometers of a road for 4 years. What is he going to teach in Okarao? I mean, it was so ridiculous that these guys cannot be able to show what they have done individually, rather than trying and promising the people of Okarao on behalf of their candidates. Their candidate, the UDA candidate, was an official of the NGCDF office. This dude has cases in AACC because of corruption. He has stolen money. And now you are busy telling us how is he going to do it? We entrusted him with a very small task and he didn't perform. He's told, how about when we give him an entire constituency, an entire budget, 200 million? What is he going to do with the money? Let me tell you, these people were campaigning on falsehood, or they were telling us about development. I've heard Martin Olo ask Fred Okango, what exactly are you talking about? You're saying that we have to support a government for us to get development. Are there no, laws in this country that describe that how, equitable distribution of national resources are supposed to be done after you have devolved a certain percentage of that? It is ridiculous for someone to come and convince you that you lazima unge serikali mkono ndio upate hii. I remember when we talked about shares, the ownership. When Rigathi Gachagua talked about the ownership, that particular thing was actually one of the reasons why he was impeached. He was impeached. But the guys are busy telling us about the same shares that they went and impeached him. Foolishly so. So in the campaign, when they realized that the numbers were not on their side, they now resorted into what they wanted to do on the material day, and they tried. They wanted to starve the ballots. They wanted to intimidate, locals, so that at least they can take over and run over those particular police stations, like they did in Bere. I was in Bere, but I stayed in Bere for 10 days. And I can tell you, the Berians had erected Newton Karis, but Newton Karis' victory was taken away so that he can head to court and find William Ruto and his people waiting for him there. He ended up losing even in court. So this country, unless Kenyans take it upon themselves and emulate the people of Kalou in terms of studying for what you want, because it's about what our people want. When people say this is what we want, that's how it should go. Because you are not elected to lead yourself. You are elected to lead your people, by your people, and how your people would feel right to be led. We have different ethnicities in this country, different regions, different capabilities. When we are talking about our Kalou, the challenges of our Kalou, the potential of output of our Kalou has completely a huge difference between our Kalou and Bere. There is a more relevant dry area. We receive relevant good rainfall on this other side. So challenges are different. Bere people can live without good roads because they don't have much rainfall. But the people of Kalou can't stomach bad roads because it rains every other day. And we are stuck every other place. So when the day of the election came, the government decided to rain terror. You saw it. I don't have to explain it. It is what we are calling out now. Because if that is repeated in 2027, we are going to lose more people in an election than we should have not. Because someone is trying to divert the will of the people. What the people want is not what they want. On the material day, these guys were shooting everywhere. They came into a police station, they would shoot. And how would you explain when 5 Prado shows up and people are just seated, waiting for the election day to end because nobody's working? And then we have tear gas and right bullets shoot all for what? How is that? Who aggressed them? Why are they planning something like that? The Oscar Sudis and the likes who are there trying to, and Betty, whatever, some members of parliament from Rana and ourselves, these guys planned to take over and reverse the will of the people. But we refused. We took vigil. We cut down trees. We blocked all roads. We even locked the gates of the police stations. And we knew they wanted darkness so that they can rain terror on us. So when 5 o'clock came, we did not close the gates. We first closed the doors. Anybody who had not voted, we told them to go home. Whatever people have voted, we have enough. By the way, that election would have had a huge voter turnout because in the morning there were a lot of delays from the King's Kit and all that. They didn't have a manual register. So we knew they are delaying so that they can lock some people out. But at least we were confident that the number of people, whether they vote 10, 8 hours, whether they vote 100, we know we have 98 and we'll still win that election. So that is why we went ahead and closed down the entire police stations at 5. And we asked those people who are outside to not vote, go home now, so that the counting can start immediately. By 6 o'clock, they had declared that they had lost. Itube had flew to Nairobi, and because they were like 10 choppers, across the entire, constituency, and a lot of what it is that they did, while they were moving out those guys with the Prado, that's when they ended up killing 2 of our youths. The border people they found celebrating. One of them was beaten to death. The other one was clobbered by the same gang. One of those vehicles is what now you're hearing, Dibal, you're saying about Kawajiko. Kawajiko's vehicle was used. Some other guys from Sijui Marindi who is selling us fra, his vehicles were here. Some guys who sell vehicles, motor vehicles in Mombasa, their vehicles were here. Being used to kill our people, being used to terrorize our people. As we move forward as a country, we are not going to allow that any government, whether it is the one that is coming after this one have gone home, we are not going to allow any government to actually pretend as if they are bigger than the people who elected them in the first place. For William Ruto to become president, what happened is that people defied the odds of a government, the government that tried to force them to elect someone else. But people said, no, we are going to elect whoever we want. Now William Ruto thinks he's more special than the people who elected him. And this is the lesson of 2027. Anybody who aspires to become a leader, whether your people are short, tall, dark, yellow, or black with spots, it doesn't matter. They are the people who elected you. They are your bosses, and their will must be respected. If they want to kick you out, you must accept that they want to retire you. And that is what we want to do to William Ruto and his government. We must retire him. Finally, I heard Fred Okano trying to turn this around in a very ridiculous manner and saying that the victory was for William Ruto. My friend, It's laughable. It is ridiculously unbelievable when you start assuming that this was a win for William Ruto. This was the foundation of sending William Ruto home. When you are talking about that now he's going to seek for partnership from Sijui, I don't know which side, and he can go to Western or Nyanza and pick his rally, that is what we want. As a matter of fact, I wanted to tell Fred Okango when he is here, Fred Okango, we want your vote in Ruto's basket. We don't want your vote in our United Alternative Government basket. This is about numbers. In current and recent times, there will be no conversation of the presidency without regional conversation. It's about numbers, it's about regional partnerships. And that is exactly what we are doing. We want to name, I even had him say that his guy called what? Sifuna is running alone. Sijui who is running alone. Who told him? Who told him they are running alone? There is a formula of identifying the suitable presidential candidate who is going to run against William Ruto. And believe you me, Devan, we are going, if God is gracious, we are going to be in this platform. We will have one candidate that we are going to present. And that candidate is going to win the next election. He is going to beat William Ruto, hands down. I can tell you that for a fact. Because regionally, he doesn't have proper support. We hosted some of his people, Kingsmen from his tribe, the other day in Wamonyo. They came and they could say, so, Debar, as I yield, I want to say this. If you are thinking about national election, you must think about regions. You must think about those regions that you like, whether you like them or you don't. You must look for partnerships. You cannot be able to kick some partners out. Like ODMP, trying to kick Ukambani out was trying to keep Kisii out and not moving around with them. It is not wise at all. Because when you are losing 10 and you're trying to go and look for 2. So I can tell you, All Kalou, lesson 101. We are going to replicate All Kalou in the entire country. It doesn't matter the amount of bribe you have. You steal all you want, but your bribe is not going to give you anything. Thank you, Riva.